How's everyone doing? We are back in BLG Studios here for the July newsletter. And a lot to talk about once again. We do intend to get more regular with these newsletters because we have gotten so much positive support and feedback from all you guys. We appreciate it, not only on the newsletter, but also across our social platforms. We are really putting a lot of attention into LinkedIn nowadays, and we see you guys. We appreciate you guys, and definitely all the engagement there and elsewhere we appreciate. I think right off the top, I want to send a special congratulations to Judge Dalton, Monmouth County Superior Court Judge, who we know, who is on the family court bench and just has been an excellent judge there at Monmouth County. I know it's a huge loss for Monmouth County, and we have her party, her retirement party, coming up on the 25th, and Bob and I both intend to be there. So going out to Judge Dalton, congratulations on a fabulous career on the bench. You deserve it.
Judge Dalton, excellent jurist, never lost her roots as a lawyer. It was always down to earth, came off the bench, if you will, and spoke to us. And so it was always a pleasure that she had that camaraderie with the bar and her support of the bar, and ourselves included. So I was always impressed by how much of a quote unquote regular person, and that means regular person when we really know she's an extraordinary person. And that humility, I think, always was something that resonated with me, Dave.
Yeah, one of the advantages to the State Bar Association is that the judges are able to come out to the events
and many do.
The retreats,
many do.
Right? And it's not just Judge Dalton, who we've gotten to know through the events, but Judge Dalton was very, very active in the State Bar Association. And that is where I had the opportunity to meet her. But certainly great reputation on the bench. I've never tried any cases before her. But with that being said, big congratulations to Judge Dalton and the entire Dalton family, her husband, Dr. Dalton, as well as daughter, Amanda.
Yeah.
Also, I laugh about this, but we recently got back from Nashville. And we went to Nashville for all the right reasons. We went down there to improve the services that we deliver to our clients, improve operations.
We went there
sales.
for all the right reasons, but got back for all the wrong reasons.
Well, I'll tell you, I've never been to Nashville. I had no idea what we were getting into when we went to Nashville, Tennessee. What an amazing city. Honestly, I could say that. I've never been to any city like it. Essentially, it's just like blocks of just bars, like all the way down the street on Broadway.
Honky-tonks.
Bars. And then also another unique aspect of Nashville is that they all have rooftops.
Yeah.
Right? It's like 4 levels of bars and then the rooftop, and everybody has live music.
Yeah.
And that was just so cool, just hearing the local artists as we were there. First day, we ended up in a place with a band, and just so much fun, not only with each other. We brought our office manager, Robert Esnes. I'm so happy that he was with us, but also all types of lawyers from around the country, networking and working on our businesses. And then it came time to come home, and Bob and I get into our Uber. We are on our way to the airport, and we see that our flight gets canceled. So then starts basically the scramble home. And
some scrambled more than others.
It was a scramble. It really was, because little did I know, I didn't even know this, that United Airlines actually automatically books the return flights. If
you're ever in this situation, yes. We didn't know.
We also were behind the 8 ball, too, because we were late rebooking. And by that time, everybody had already booked all the direct flights coming home. So Bob gets on the first flight. He has a connection in Chicago. I also had a connection in Charlotte. We were on 2 separate flights coming home. And luckily, and Robert, our office manager, was able to get on the 6 a.m. flight coming out, because that was the only flight that actually got home. So I'm happy that he got back to his family, and we had to basically scramble to get home. Long day of travel after a very fun couple days in Nashville.
Yeah, so just to round that out, I'm not going to lie. It was I laughed and heartily with Michelle when you sent the text because your flight was delayed on top of the fact that it was later than mine. And your description of the person sitting next to you, which we'll leave to imagination. But it was just funny. I said, this guy's getting hammered.
No, that's not the funny part. The funny part is that I always fly early. Every time I come home, I have the 6 o'clock flight. I know this because my wife worked for United, and she knows that most of the flights that ever get canceled or delayed, they come later in the day.
That's a myth.
It's the first. Yeah, it's a myth. That's what Bob says. It's a myth. It'll never happen. We have work to do down there. We're gonna be out the night before. There's no way we're gonna get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So with that resistance, I changed my flight to the later flight, and guess what flight ended up coming home?
Last.
6 o'clock flight. Got home, and I was on the flight that got canceled.
And we're last. If you followed my lead, you would have gotten home earlier.
So, fun times,
yeah.
but literally so many takeaways in Nashville about business operations and improving things, and we have a lot of changes coming, all good things.
Yeah, it's really interesting, guys. I say to all of you that are out there, especially the lawyers that are watching, or anybody in business for that matter, to be with a group of like-minded individuals talking about how to improve your efficiencies of your office and produce a better work product for your clients. There's never a time that we don't go to this and we don't come out of there and saying, wow, let's like we were percolating, right? We got a whiteboard out and we were breaking it down, and it was just really a positive thing. And of course, many of you that are out there call us and have asked us a number of questions about, business operations and operations. Because I feel like when I'm referring a client to a law firm in an area we don't practice, I look at it differently, Dave, than I did maybe 10 years ago. I look at it like, well, what is the law firm's philosophy? What is the law firm's business practices? What are the law firms? Do they have policies and procedures? Do they have operating procedures? Do they have enough staff? So I'm thinking about like what we do here to make sure that we can service the client, because you don't want to, and it makes a big difference in the outcome of the lawyer's life, because you do law life. We'll touch about that in a minute. But it's a better quality for the lawyer and a better quality for the client. So These are great meetings. I
think another great takeaway from the trip too is being in a growth mindset. And that is I honestly, Bob, I think we are on the gold rush of technology right now. There's just so many tools and automations and things to improve various different aspects of business. And it's not just lawyers. It could be real estate agents or construction companies. You could go down the list of the jobs, and with AI here, and then also just new applications and ways to do things more efficiently. It's just such a great time to just keep your finger on the pulse of all the changes and applications and things like that. And that's one of the things that we do when we go on these quarterly retreats, improving business.
Yeah.
So Sirens and Summations is something new to the social media platforms. If you haven't seen, my law partner, Bob Bianchi, is an EMT, certified technician, which we applaud. And definitely here in the building, we're safer because of it. But more importantly, you guys will see these Sirens and Summations posts. And really, it's an opportunity to learn more about Bob Bianchi personally, but also, is he an EMT or is he a lawyer? And he carries both of the hats now. And as you watch the Sirens and Summations, you can get a little bit of both. So how do you feel about putting this out? I know you're doing it, and I'm proud of you. I love the post that you're putting out there, and definitely looking out for the next ones.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. And it's written the mind space that we've always been in about helping other people and mindset. I was an EMT many years ago, rode for 10 years through high school, college, and law school. And I let my certification lapse, and I became a little saddened by that. And with the help of my partner and my office staff, they were, go ahead, man, go for it. Go get it again. I was literally the oldest pupil in the class. And there's a lot to be. There's a lot. It's daunting. It's a lot of work. It was a lot of work, a lot of testing, a lot of intellectual testing, a lot of practical testing. You have to now take a national registry. Went through all that and went through it. And I'm very proud of this that I got my EMT back again. But it all started from that TED Talk that we had done when we did our TED Talks. But the reason Sirens and Summations, EMT, a lawyer by day, EMT by night, life's lessons kind of thing, is you learn a lot. I realize that a lot of my formation of who I am as a person came from my experiences as an EMT as a teenager, handling shooting cases and car accident cases and death and fatalities and helping people. And it was such a powerful thing to do in one respect, to be able to help people. And now I'm on South Orange. Let me announce it. I'm now a volunteer at the South Orange Rescue Squad, back to where I started. I went back to my old rescue squad, and I'm now the junior man. I'm the oldest junior man probably in the history of the organization. But it's okay, because I'm making a significant difference. I've gone on calls already where I'm like, I look at it so much differently, like even by how I'm treating the patient and how I'm speaking to them, trying to comfort them, maybe a little bit more mindful of that than I was when I was a child, when death, was not close to me. And so I'm really proud of that. So Sirens and Summations, Dave, thank you for bringing that up. It's going to be both legal and EMT takeaways about life. You always use that line. Pressure is privilege. And so with those two kinds of pressures, I hope that I've gotten a lot of great feedback, as you know, Dave, that people are like, wow, keep these things coming, because the little life lessons are so meaningful. So thank you.
Absolutely. And that's yet again another part of the support I was referencing in the beginning. Thank you again for engagement and recognizing Bob and those types of content that he puts out, and also mine, which is Law Life. And it's interesting, too, to think that both of these ideas emanated from the TED Talks that we did. Yeah. And there was a lot of good that flowed from that experience. And at first, I was reluctant. I was very reluctant, at least personally, because it was the first time, really the first time, that I publicly started to talk about my personal life and our struggles and challenges and improvements through COVID. But I look back on it. I am so happy that we did that. I am so happy that we went out there experiencing that red rock in the mountains and then going on stage doing our TED Talks. And just so much good has flowed from that, where I am now doing Law Life. And I am in my 8th article that I will be publishing tomorrow on a specific podcast episode with Tony Robbins that really hit home for me and changed the mindset. And I will be sharing my top takeaways of that particular episode and also dropping links to listen to it yourselves. So Law Life and Sirens and Summations, you guys can see that on our platforms, and we appreciate that engagement. And then Nothing But the Truth continues to be broadcast on Saturday mornings on WMTR Radio at 9:30 a.m. and then also streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And we have another great guest coming up today, just another speaker at TEDx. Again, the flow, right? The connections that we made, the experience that we had, the things that emanated from TED continue to display, and it will be on display this upcoming Saturday on Nothing But the Truth. But what a great opportunity to put on this radio show. And it's just an excellent opportunity to connect and put a show together about mindset.
Yeah, when I left the prosecutor's office, that I wanted us to do something bigger. Having a huge platform like that at prosecutor was a big thing. And it felt like a big loss, the biggest loss, really, with the job. And since that time, me and you started. Let's not forget Brene Brown. We went down and got trained in the Daring Way program. And that was what? To be able to help people deal with difficult situations, because that's what we do. We do that legally, but we also have, it's beautiful to help people in a personal way. And what I'm very proud with you as a lawyer, I've been the elder attorney in this group. I've watched you in your young career. I've watched you become a prosecutor, become a trial lawyer in your own right in the courtroom, standing on your own 2 feet and arguing cases, to being a partner of a law firm. But throughout all that, lots of people can do it, maybe not as well, but lots of people do that. But me and you have also always shared this space where we want to make people's lives better and build on mindset. Not that we are experts and not that we don't have issues. In fact, a lot of what we talk about comes from the pain of the experiences of our own lives and what we've learned from that. And so I'm glad I have a partner that recognizes it, because not all people would agree that that would be the approach. And we talk a lot about our clients and making sure that we get them in the right mental space and get them in the right treatment programs and the right addiction programs. And you, with all the addiction work that you do, with your group, is something that I just want to say to you. This is why what was I just using the analogy? I just saw Rocket Man for the first time with Elton John, and they if you watch the movie, it says in there how Bernie Taupin, who used to write the lyrics, and Elton John are 50 years and still have never gotten into an argument. I mean, they've had their little words back and forth, but genuine, real argument. And Dave was like, well, that's like me and you, and that's true. And I think it's because we share, and they share, and we share a like-mindedness. So just for guys.
Thanks for saying that. I agree. It's been a pleasure, and big things to come for Bianchi Law Group. That is for sure.
We do have some big legal announcements that we're going to be making in the next couple of months.
I think that's a little premature right now. We do have
got something on the whiteboard.
Big news coming out. But with respect to Nothing But the Truth, we're like going into like 80 episodes, Bob. I mean, it's
really
incredible. It's really exceptional. And then also, it's one thing to be a co-host on Nothing But the Truth, but there are real takeaways that personally I've taken away from these conversations. And especially when you do as many as we have done already, you start to see the themes coming across from all of the guests about resilience and the victor versus victim mentality and habits and routines and communication skills and things like that. So it has not only been great to provide this value to the community, but I could attest that I've also been learning from the guests that we've been able to interview.
Yeah, I've been around longer than you, so I agree with you. We're learning from them. What was fascinating to me is a point you made earlier about it. I am shocked at how dissimilar the field is, or the guest is. But in reality, when it gets down to it, when we're done speaking, the similarity of spirit that made them a success, and not just a success, how they overcame obstacles and tragedies. Yeah. It's really quite striking.
That's one of the other themes, is that everybody had to get past adversity and challenges. We can go down the whole line. I think pretty much every single person had some sort of experience that they had to rebound from.
And we're not looking for people to say, tell us about the experience you rebound from. But it turns out that an experience they rebounded from was what catapulted them to where they became very successful.
Without a doubt. I told you guys Law Life is going to be about a Tony Robbins podcast episode. And I actually started to listen to it again as I wrote the article, just bringing back some of the main takeaways. And one of the things that I wrote down just this morning that Tony said is that the worst thing in your life can become the best thing in your life if you have the right mission and purpose because of it.
Dave, I say that I do most of the calls to the new clients, and I know you've heard me say this. That is so true. I say this horrible incident, with all the fear and frustration and concerns and whatever, in 5 years from now can either be the worst thing that ever happened to you, or you can take this bad situation and turn it into what you look back and say, I never want to go through that again. Remember Julio Briones, our friend, said that? I'd never want to go through that jail experience again, but if it wasn't for that, these great things wouldn't have happened. So it's your choice. How are you going to dialogue about it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Let it be the fire in your belly to change your lifestyle, or change the habits, and change the way you treat people, or whatever it is. But when it comes, instead of ruminating and getting stressed out, there's a time for that. Trust me. We all have uncertainty, adversities, challenges, but there's also a way to rebound and have resilience off of it. And that is just yet another theme that we have seen from a lot of the Nothing But the Truth guests.
Yep.
So that's July, and we look forward to August. We are coming in hot. We got a lot of new things developing at the Bianchi Law Group. It's a little bit premature, Bob. I don't want to unleash yet, but with that being said, thank you for the referrals. Thank you for the support and engagement. And thank you for just being a part of what we have here at the Bianchi Law Group.
Peace.